Okay, so this is the second video, which is about event number 4, the Abyssinian Crisis. So while this is an event number 4, this actually falls into describing how the League of Nations was unable to stop a member of the League of Nations from committing aggression and not following disarmament, collective security. Basically, they attacked another nation which was also in LON. So that should be something that is stopped, but of course we all already know that LON cannot be effective unless all its members, especially Britain and France, are in support of it. And we also know that US is not a member of the LON, so without US agreement to follow what LON decides, it's also very difficult. So the Abyssinian Crisis, you can read the summary on your own. I'm just going to cover a few things. Firstly is who is Mussolini? Okay, this is the leader of Italy. So he is a fascist. So you can see him in a military uniform. So his strategy, or all fascist leaders' strategy to solve their country's problems, is always to conquer other countries, to take away the resources in another country to make their country richer. So when he got into power, just like Hitler, he took action to remove all opposition and became a dictator. He called himself Il Duce, which means the leader. Okay, much like Hitler, the Führer, right? And he eventually in 1935, he actually invaded and conquered Abyssinia, which is the event that we're learning today. And after he did that, he joined an alliance with Germany and Japan. So something I thought is good for you to notice is that because this happened in 1935, in 1936, when Hitler remilitarized Rhineland, okay, he probably knew that the British and the French were busy with the Abyssinian crisis. So they were not able to mind what Hitler is doing, especially in a territory like Rhineland, which actually belongs to Germany. So all they did was march in their army, but because we all know that that is against the term of TOV and a threat to French security, it is a major step in Hitler's journey towards war, because it convinced him that Britain and France will not do anything, League of Nations will not do anything. So let's learn a little bit more about the Abyssinian Crisis. Okay, the context, I've highlighted a few things. You can choose to highlight the same things in your textbook. We are also going to use this content to make the notes. Give me a little bit of time to type out the notes, so maybe you may want to just watch these two videos first and then write down the notes on another day. Okay, so it all began when long ago in 1896, Italian troops actually tried to invade Abyssinia, but at that time they were not under Mussolini. And the best part is, despite being a big country and European and supposed to be advanced, they were defeated by an army of tribesmen, like African tribesmen. So it was quite humiliating for the Italians. So when Mussolini came into power, he wanted revenge for this humiliation. Also, the reason why in the first place they wanted Abyssinia is because Abyssinia had fertile lands, mineral wealth. Okay, these are good for farming, is also good for selling. And of course, once you conquer another country, is glory and conquest. So in 1934 December, basically just like Hitler, right, creating drama, Mussolini also created drama so that the Italy's action against Abyssinia sounds legal. And how he created drama was, he says there was a dispute between Italian and Abyssinian soldiers at this place called Walwal. So Walwal is like a border between Italian colonized territory in Africa and Abyssinia, which is an independent country and a member of LON. So when they had a dispute, Mussolini say, this oasis is mine. So he wants Abyssinia to apologize. But of course, Abyssinia won't apologize because it is not Italy's territory. And at the same time, because he was actually creating drama so that he can have a valid or legal excuse to invade Abyssinia, he already started preparing his army. And the leader of Abyssinia, Haile Selassie, he actually appealed to the League of Nations for help because the League promises to stop wars, right? That's one of the aims of the LON, to stop wars. But it was unsuccessful because even though Britain and France had colonies around Abyssinia which could help to defend Abyssinia, they chose not to. So I'll show you the map here so that you know where it is. So I've labeled it dispute. So this is Abyssinia. And if you see the countries around it like Egypt, Sudan, all those in orange, those are British territories. And then the blue ones are French Empire. So even though they were surrounding there, and it will be very easy for them to just send in the troops, and of course because they are two major countries, definitely it will be easier to counter Italian forces, but they did not want to be involved. So if the permanent members of the League of Nations don't see it as important to stop Italy's aggression, why would anyone else do anything? Okay, so in the following 2 pages, right, there's actually like a cartoon story, like a comic story of what happened after that, like after this incident. So how did LON react? Okay, so in number 1, in January 1935, Mussolini says, fine, League of Nations, I can negotiate with you. But he began moving his armed forces into Italian bases. So in Eritrea, which is beside Abyssinia. So if someone is negotiating, will they at the same time move their army? Or is it just a delay tactic? So I'm sure you all can see where Mussolini was heading towards. Then number 2, while there was tension between Italy and Abyssinia, Britain and France, knowing that Italy is a potential aggressor, they decided to sign an alliance with him called Stresa Front. And in this alliance, basically they want him to be an ally to oppose Hitler's announcement to rearm Germany. Remember, he did that in 1935, officially the rearmament rally, because they say, oh, this violates the TOV. And Italy of course signed very willingly, and later on in that year in Britain, they found out what Italy Mussolini has been doing against a fellow League of Nations member, Abyssinia, and so there was a public outcry. And like democratic countries like Britain, they rely a lot on the public opinion of their citizens, because the citizens gets to elect the leaders, not like in dictatorships, right? And so they have to respond. So the one guy called Huare, he was the British Foreign Secretary, like Foreign Minister. He made a speech to the League of Nations and said that, oh, we must protect small nations, we must practice collective security. And so Britain and but at the same time, Britain and France were anxious not to upset Mussolini, because they want him as an ally to counter Hitler. So if they are interested in their own self-interest, their own country's security, do they really care what happened to Abyssinia in some African territory? Do they really respect that this is a country which is independent? I don't think so. So finally, after all the investigation done by the League of Nations, what they concluded is neither side, Abyssinia or Italy, cannot be blamed. So what is the recommendation? If they both cannot be blamed, maybe split half-half, right? So that's true. League of Nations say, okay, fine. Since nobody is at fault, how about we give Mussolini some parts of Abyssinia, some parts. And Mussolini said no, because obviously he wants the whole of Abyssinia. And the foreign ministers of Britain and France panicked and say that, oh my God, what if Mussolini gets angry with Britain and France? So how about we, in secret, let's discuss a pact with Mussolini and say, we give you 2/3 of Abyssinia, you don't create problem. Okay, you don't announce invasion, we just automatically give you, no need to do anything. And at the same time, the League was still discussing about how we can punish Italy or prevent it from being aggressive. And Britain and France went behind the League's back. Okay. But then later on, the people in France and Britain found out about this potential pact, right? And the two foreign ministers were sacked. Okay. And because it was seen as an act of treachery against the League of Nations. So basically they are sacked. So there's no diplomacy between Britain, France and Italy. So Italy just went on with their plan, which is in October 1935, they launch a full-scale invasion of Abyssinia. And of course, the Abyssinia, which is a new country, reliant on the League of Nations protection, which of course there is none, kena invaded lah. Okay, so and Italy used tanks, aeroplanes, poison gas. Of course, Abyssinia cannot fight back. So the League was like, oh no, we need to do something about this. So they meet with the permanent members. They set up some committees to discuss what sanctions should we impose against Mussolini. So sanctions are like, it could be economic sanction, like that means I stop trade, or it could be military sanctions, like I stop selling you weapons. Okay, so it's like stopping the supply of things. And so they decided that we shall ban arms sale and any loans and export of rubber, tin and metals. So basically anything that they feel can be used to make weapon, they don't sell to him. Okay, and then in a few months later, right, in February 1936, the League said, okay, I think the most effective is oil sale. We must stop it so that within 2 months, they got no more oil. They cannot move the ship to go to Africa, to go to Abyssinia. They also cannot move the tank, which is a good idea. But they took quite some time to get the people who sell Italy oil to agree. Because again, you must remember, many of the members of the League of Nations are more interested in their own well-being. So when it affects their economic interests for a country like Abyssinia, they're like, must me. Okay, so then the United States, which is one of the suppliers of oil to Italy, refused to support the ban. And because like some others actually pulled out and tried to follow the sanctions, US increased the supply of oil to Italy. Of course, it's because as far as US was concerned, their policy is isolation. They will do whatever it takes to trade with others and make money for their own country. So to them, the League got nothing to do with them, and they don't care that Europe is in this trouble. And the worst thing is, US at least not a member of LON. The worst thing is Britain and France, which are members of the LON. They own they control the Suez Canal, which is this like trade route, It remained open to Italy's supply ships. So if they cannot take it from these countries that ban, they can take it from somewhere else, what? And if the trade route is not closed, then of course they continue to have all the things they need for war. So basically the sanctions don't work. And the reason why they didn't close it was because they are scared that Italy will come and attack them instead. And so, by May 1936, Italy conquered Abyssinia. Abyssinian emperor went into exile. So, kena get out of the country. So that is a good story about Abyssinian Crisis. I hope you have captured the major details. I will include a PDF copy of all these pages that I've been highlighting and talking about so that you can slowly highlight on your own books. And then I will take my time to type out the notes that are the things that you are supposed to write down for the events, because I'm trying to make sure that, Abyssinian Crisis, like very long, right? So I'm trying to narrow it down to the 4 to 6 facts that you would have to remember for the exam. Okay, happy holidays.